welcome to the Electric Scooter Podcast, episode 34. Ginger on Wheels is back, and you tuned in for a really good episode. Some of the things we're going to talk about are the funnest time he ever had on a scooter. We were going to do the scariest, but we never got around to it, but we'll save that for a future episode. Also, he's going to recommend a scooter for first-time buyers. Spoiler alert, it's the same one I recommend and the same one Chuck from the Electric Scooter Guide recommends. Do tire sealants work? Fire! Rapid fire! And we're going to talk about battery math. What does that even mean? Chinese versus Korean battery cells? And wannabe billionaires? Listen up. Do you want to make $1 billion in the scooter tire business? We've got an answer for you. Just stay tuned. The Dagwood Streets, Ginger on Wheels.
From the Northwest, he rides the wolf. When it comes to speed, he's not a cringer. He's got a DIY van. I'm telling you, he's the man. Everybody, it's Ginger!
So now I got a couple think pieces for you. I'd like to ask you, and I mean to ask everybody I interview this, but I've forgotten it every single time. I think we're on like 35 episodes or something like that. What is the funnest time you ever had on a scooter? And what is the biggest disaster you ever had on a scooter?
The funnest time I ever had on a scooter is actually on film. That's my 011X scooter ride to downtown Seattle, where I went to the Space Needle and hung out and had lunch. I don't know what it was about that
We're
day.
like, this thing is a monster.
Just the experience of riding on the Phaeton and having all that power and all the range, and it was just a perfect day. I wasn't sweaty, I wasn't cold, I had food, there was no people. It was just like all the stars aligned that day, and it was just amazing. So I'll never forget that scooter ride.
That thing weighs like 130 pounds.
Yeah, it does. It's no little scooter. It's a beast.
No, yeah, it definitely qualifies.
It's not my off-roading choice. A lot of people ask me if I would prefer to off-road the 11X over the Wolf, and the answer is every time, no way. I tried, and it's just cumbersome. It's like driving a bus off-road.
You know, you ground off, which is brilliant, that thorn that sticks out of the side of the Wolf Warrior's kickstand, but I still have mine on it, and that thing has torn my interior. And it's I put this nice material. Check this out. This might help you with your DIY van. Wherever you have wood, there's this stuff you can buy on Amazon. It's vinyl coating, and it's like wallpaper or something, but you don't use any glue or anything. You just put it on by hand. You cut it to size, and you can make it look like knotty pine or different colors and stuff, and that's
I've
really
seen that.
neat.
I've seen that stuff. Yeah,
feel free to use that. It's cheap and it looks great.
It looks good
inside of the van. Yeah, I get a lot of compliments on that. But you know, that little notch on the Warrior kickstand has dinged that up a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And for folks that have the Wolf, I recommend you watch the video where you're grinding that thing off, because that totally makes sense. Now, does your Wolf King still have that, or did they remove it?
Oh no, that actually is the scooter that I ground it off on. That video.
Oh, that was the Wolf King.
Because I had my Wolf, and it was just hitting my ankle for years, and I got the Wolf King, and was like, really? You guys still didn't remove it? Fine, I'll do it.
I've got an actual scar on my left ankle above my Achilles heel from all the times that it's happened. It's actually broke the skin a few times. I'm looking at it right now.
I think it's because they repurposed the stand from like a moped, and you're supposed to be able to kick this kickstand down with the heel of your shoe on that little triangular cutout part. But on the way that it's mounted on the Wolf, you can kick it down really easily without having that triangular part, and it just acts like a little, Achilles razor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got to admit, though, I do appreciate the fact that it's heavy duty, because Every other scooter I've got 5 total. Every other one I have is just got the chintziest of kickstands, and it's one of the first things to go. I beat up everything I own. I mean, my iPhone, anything that Dagwood Streets owns is going to get tested. And
me too, man. That's actually why people don't send me as much stuff, because they're like, oh, Ginger's gonna break it, let's send it to him last.
People don't even like to let me, my friends don't even like to let me play their guitars. I mean, I just look at the look on their face, because even the way I attack the strings, they're like, oh, what's he doing to my guitar? Give me it back.
You're using it.
Exactly. And they're meant to be played, and scooters are meant to be ridden. And if they can't stand up, then you find out where those weak points are, and kudos to you. I mean, you find all the weak spots and then beef it up.
That's the goal. Break them all.
Buying a used scooter from Ginger on Wheels is pretty optimal.
Yeah, if it's in working condition when you buy it from me, you can be pretty dang sure it's not going to break on you.
So of all the different models you've ridden, and you told me that sometimes scooter companies just send you scooters, what would you recommend for a commute? I like the Segway 9-Bot Max because I've put a lot of miles on them. I don't own one. But I've considered the Levy. I don't know if you've seen that, because you can pull the battery out. Yeah, you can pull the battery out. And they made the battery essentially like a half of an ounce below what you can take onto an airplane. So you could theoretically fold it up, put it in a suitcase, and then put the lithium battery in your backpack, get on an airplane. And that would be so cool to be able to do that. But then you did the E-TWOW or the E2.
Yeah, the E2 GTSE.
Yeah, you couldn't put that on an airplane, but that looked like really for somebody who wants something with zero maintenance and just to commute on.
That was really just a super lightweight. So you're asking what would be the best commuter scooter?
Yeah, for people not like us. I don't know about you. If you commute, I don't commute to work. I ride scooters for fun, purely for the joy. But a lot of folks are going. My son is going to college, and he needs to get from his dorm to his college classes. And there's a lot of folks that live 2-3 miles from home. What would you recommend from them? And a lot of them are first-time scooter buyers.
If you're just a first-time scooter buyer and you only need to travel a few miles and you're not going to put your scooter through anything really extreme, the 9-Bot Max is by far my choice.
Oh, good.
The most durable, it's actually I want to say waterproof, but I know it's technically water resistant, but I rode it with the deck and wheels submerged underwater. Like, I don't know of any other scooter you can do that with that it will still work when you're done, but you can see I rode the range test. There was a range test video I did where I rode it in a literal thunderstorm. Like, that scooter, and I jumped it off 3 stairs. Like, it can't be broken.
That was cool.
Yeah, I like slow mode it with the bar spin and everything. Just like, okay, it's a 9-bot, you guys.
Yeah, but that first time when you do it, come on, you had to be a little bit, well, here we go.
Oh, yeah. The first time I was like, this could go really badly. Please, 9-Bot, make the latch good.
Well, even if it goes badly, it's good for YouTube if you put it in slow-mo.
Yeah, good views, bad for my doctor bill.
Yeah, I love the fact that the Segway 9-Bot Max has the pre-slimed tire. They're not just pre-slimed. I interviewed Scott Carbone, who has a scooter rental place down in Tampa, Florida. I actually flew there to Tampa, and he took one apart and showed it to me. I'll probably turn that into a YouTube video at some point. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I'm lazy. So it has this thick goop. It looks like a good half-inch of goop that's inside the pneumatic tires. And those pneumatic tires are great for like an alternative to having a suspension set up. But he said, it's rare that they get flats on those. He said normally it's like 4,000 miles before he sees any
if
flats.
you have those new 9-Bot Max tire, they actually advertised that as, like, I think they called them puncture resistant tires or something, but you can, if you go, like, it's anything less than a 1/16 of an inch, it can fully puncture the tire and come all the way out, and the air won't come out of the tire. The goop will just seal the hole completely. And I met a guy on the Seattle Saturday Night Ride who had his tires slimed with the same stuff. And you could actually see really close, there were a whole bunch of little tiny, tiny punctures where the slime had filled the hole. And it would have been a flat every time. But the guy's like, yeah, I'm just riding it 4,000 miles. I don't care. So,
and I want to make it clear to listeners that that is not equivalent to buying some of that stuff that's commercially sold that you squirt into your tires. From Scott made it very clear to me. He said, this is a different stuff. He told me that that stuff really does not work that well. He just found that in his experience at working on and maintaining scooters, that it didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference, particularly if it has an inner tube, because you can still get the pinch flats.
The pinch flats,
but
right.
But Segway, the way they do that, I don't know if so their tires, are they commercially available for other brands of scooters, or they're only replacements for the Segway? Do you know?
That is a good question. I don't know if you can get the tires with that puncture-proof material in it.
Some company needs to get on that.
They really do, because you're right about the slime. There's there's 3 brands of puncture-proof material that I was actually going to do a video on this, and I have it filmed, and I edited it and decided not to upload it. But there are the 3 types of slime that I have. Let me grab the 3 bottles real quick. So in my experiment, I used slime. I used one that I got with a scooter off Amazon that was called the Evercross scooter. And I had never heard of this stuff, but it just says tire sealant on the bottle. And I also used one called Armadillos.
That's the one I hear a lot about, Armadillos.
Right, yeah. So I wanted to do a video to prove how cool Armadillos was, because I had heard all these amazing reviews about it. So I took a tiny little needle and punctured a tire with the 3 types of tire sealant, and all 3 tires went flat.
It comes back to, why I love your channel and what you do so much. Well, how about a regular scooter enthusiast just pokes a hole in 3 different tires, and boom, right? There's your answer. They can give statistics and quote studies and data and stuff, but I'll just say, hey, look at Ginger on. And by the way, you should upload that video.
Yeah, I probably should. I didn't think it was a good look for anyone trying to sell tire sealant, but and it does work. I know people that have tires that it's sealed holes in, so I didn't want to publish a video saying it's not going to work, because it does work in some situations. But in my test, where I just used it was like a clothespin size needle, right, not on the sidewall, just on the top of the tire, no sealing action.
Because the sidewall, I don't think anything's really going to stop that. Yeah. But, there you go. There's your caveat disclaimer. Just put words at the bottom and, hey, your mileage may vary and this is just the way it happened, or, not dissing these companies.
Yeah. It's hard to get over the audience reaction sometimes. Like I posted the Nami Burn E scooter, where I just went and checked it out, and it completely disappointed me.
That
and
was
I've been
great.
Getting nothing but negative. I can't believe you don't like the Nami comments, and it's just been making me feel really down. So I didn't want to publish another video where everyone's like, I can't believe that you're telling people not to use slime in your tires.
Well, people probably that are hating on it are people that do have a dog in the race. They spent $4,000 on a scooter. I mean, you see that with automobiles, with motorcycles. People are fanboys. They did their research, and that's what they came up with, and they spent all this money. So they feel like you're almost insulting their ride. But for every person like that, there's 10 people that still may end up buying it, but at least they have the caveat emptor that I need to check this thing, I need to check that, I need to make sure. I think one of the things you said is what I found on the Apollo Phantom, which I also gave a bad review of. I mean, just like you did with the Nami Burn E, I also gave a bad review on the Apollo Phantom. And one of the things was I couldn't read the LCD at all. The sun was shining. And I think you had that problem with the Nami Burn E too, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things. And you live in a darker part. I live in Las Vegas, where the sun really blasts you, but you live up there in the dark Pacific Northwest, so that should not be a problem on a scooter.
Granted, it was a sunny day that day, but if you brought the Nami Bernie down to Vegas, the display would just be white.
Yeah, so I think it's important, and it also, again, shows that you're not biased. It's important to say the bad along with the good. Have you ridden the Apollo Phantom?
I have not.
First, there's like a dead spot, and then it just jumps forward. There's just a lot of things. I found it to be actually unrideable, and I wanted to like it so much.
I think I listened to a podcast where you were talking about this scooter.
You weren't really hating on the Nami. You were the Bernie. You were, pointing things out. I watched that video, and believe me, you were not over the top. You weren't. I mean, we could easily do that. We could turn it into like a celebrity roast and make jokes about it. That would be funny and interesting. But I think we're just pointing out things that consumers would want to know.
Yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, I went to the scooter and I drove for an hour to get there. I had waited for months for the scooter to show up. I brought all my gear and my GoPro, and I was ready to give this thing a rip and roll and film a cool video on it, and I literally couldn't ride it. Like, how can you film any other video other than the one that I did if you can't ride it?
Exactly.
It's one of the more expensive scooters on the planet.
It's time for the rapid fire. Get ready for the rapid fire. I'm gonna say some words now. Give me your reaction. Just give me your reaction. It's time for the rapid fire. It's time for the rapid fire. It's time for the rapid.
So now there's a part of my podcast that I used to do, but I haven't done it lately. And hopefully you'd like to take the challenge. It's called Rapid Fire.
Fire! We play with fire! Rapid fire! Rapid fire! Fire! Fire right now!
Rapid fire, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to say something, and you just give your immediate gut reaction. Are you ready?
Immediate gut reaction. Okay, I'm ready. I don't know if you are. This could get ugly.
On-road or off-road?
Off-road.
Ah, correct answer. I love it. Okay, beast or commuter?
Beast.
Black or fancy color?
Fancy.
So
all day, fancy.
We're in accord, man. It's like I'm asking myself these questions. Favorite accessory, but not including helmet?
120 decibel U-lock alarm. Can lock your scooter up outside.
Night rides, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. That's 90% of the rides I do aren't on film and they're at night.
Scooter keys, yes or no?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
That wasn't very rapid.
Oh, for me, I'm a hard no.
I feel you on that. I get that. And I had to think about it a little bit. But there are a couple times where I have parked my scooter inside a store and said, I don't want to fold it. I don't want to collapse it. I don't want to bring it in. What can I do to just mitigate a possible theft for like 30 seconds to a minute? I just want to run in and grab a milk or whatever.
I have an answer for that.
Rip the keys out. What's your answer?
You keep the scooter with you. If people can ride mobility scooters with 4 wheels and cruise around stores, why can't you take your slim little 2-wheel, even the Wolf Warrior, just bring it right in. 7-Eleven, Walmart, wherever you are, just bring it right in with you. And
I had heard you say that on a podcast, but I think you forget where I live. If your scooter is covered in mud and dripping water, they're going to be pissed if you bring that in the store.
Yeah, you're right. I'm only covered in dust. Okay,
Right.
Rapid fire. Next question. Last meal. If you're on death row.
Steak and potatoes.
Steak and potato. What kind of steak?
Wagyu steak with salt and pepper. No
man.
barbecue sauce or nothing. Just
Wow.
love it.
You got to have wine to go with that, though. Like a
Sure.
a
Hook me
Zinfandel.
up with a nice red wine. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Favorite band?
Blink 182, throwback.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so we're getting towards the end of the podcast. I do have another personal question, though, I want to ask you. And this is a technical question because it's something that I just genuinely don't understand. You were reviewing a scooter, different scooters you've reviewed. You say, like, the battery is 500 watts and the motor is 700 watts. And so the battery is under the deck, right? And the motor is whatever the wheel, inside the wheel, whether it's dual or single, right? Inside of there. Why would you have a 500 watt battery and a 700 watt motor? What does that mean?
That's actually a good question. I don't know. Maybe I didn't do a very good job explaining the science behind this on my channel. It gives me an idea for a video. But batteries, the capacity of the battery, like the total amount of energy it can hold, is measured in watt hours is the unit. So like my one of my bigger unicycles has a 3200 watt hour battery, and that means that you could sustain 100 watts for 32 hours, if that makes sense. So if you have a 100 watt motor on that wheel, it'll go for 32 hours at full torque. Watts for the motor is measured in the amount of energy that the motor uses to run, and you have a nominal wattage and a peak wattage. And the nominal wattage is usually the wattage you see for the motor, and that's the amount of watts that the motor will use at a normal cruising speed. And you can divide the watt-hour capacity of the pack by the wattage that the motor is using to find out exactly how long the scooter will run at that speed. So technically, I don't even need to be doing my range tests, but it's just fun to do.
Yeah. You do need to do the range test. You do, because most people are like me. I am going to go back and listen to my own podcast at what you just said, and I'll probably play it 2 or 3 times before I actually absorb what it is.
Maybe I didn't do a good job. I tried my best, Dagwood.
No, I get the gist of what you're saying, but when people talk about those kind of things, I hear math, numbers, like little bubbles are floating past me with these words in it. But there is a scooter now. Which one is it that has the range until empty? One of the newer scooters. Is it the
Range
Ludo?
until empty. What do you mean?
It says on the LCD, it says you have like 20 kilometers left until you run out of electricity. Maybe it was the Phantom. I think it was an Apollo. I think it is the Phantom. I think it was one of the things I liked about it. Yeah. And from what I've seen from other people, when I say other people, it's the Electric Scooter Guide. It really is pretty accurate.
It would depend on the quality of the battery cells in the scooter. If you're getting a lot of voltage sag from really bad cells, then it would have a really hard time.
I call that as a band name, Voltage Sag, by the way. Don't try to start a band named Voltage Sag, because I'm claiming it right now.
Anyway, yeah, I know what you mean with the time remaining on the battery of the display, and that was only accurate if you're cruising at a consistent speed the entire time you're reading it, because if you're giving it more gas, the time remaining will go down, less it'll go up.
But it could serve as a good warning, if you're 5 miles from home and it says 5 miles, you can say, well, I'm going to go ahead and keep it at about 20 miles an hour and not get on the throttle that much, and you'll at least know you'll probably make it home. You won't start slamming the throttle all the way home.
Absolutely. And that would be good if you were very first owning the scooter. But for me, you get the range memorized in your body to the point where you don't even need to look at the odometer. You just know by feeling how long you've been on the scooter that you're almost out or not. That's how personalized scooters become. People think of them as like a toy or a gadget, but it really is like an extension of myself when I'm on it. I feel like I know exactly how much power it has and what it can handle and what it can't handle, and you will get that way too with any other scooter you ride. It's one of the best things about it.
I never even come close on the Wolf Warrior, because when I'm done riding it, I charge it up, and when I'm off in the desert or somewhere, every time I come back, I'm always still, even if extensive riding, it seems like I'm above 70, 75, 80%. It seems like no matter what I do.
Fair enough. Maybe what I said just applies if you've ridden the scooter to the ground a couple times and you know where
Right.
the limit is.
Right.
I forgot I had done that.
My buddy who works in construction, and he always charges his tool. He goes through a lot of tools with lithium batteries, and he says don't ever run it down to zero. He said that kills the life capacity of it. And he said just whenever you're done using it, just charge it back up. I've also heard though, don't charge if you don't charge to 100%, that helps them stay alive longer too. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, there is some substance to this whole battery math thing. There's a camp of people who are really religious about keeping their battery percentage between 20 and 80% to maintain the longevity of the battery pack as a whole, because they only really get a certain amount of discharges before the cells just get weaker and they don't hold the capacity like they used to. But that being said, in the Wolf Warrior that I just sold, I had probably close to 1,000 charge cycles on that thing. And I tested it a couple of weeks ago when I was testing against the Wolf King, and it still has the same top speed. And I also tested it at night, and it had like 1.5 miles less range than when I very first got it. And I have never babied that battery at all. I've ran out of batteries more times than I can count and had to walk it home all sweaty. I charge it to full every single time I get home with 100% and leave the charger plugged in until I go out the next time.
It probably has a good BMS in it.
It does have a BMS in it that will limit short circuit protection and stuff like that, but it does allow the batteries to charge to 100% and discharge to 0%. And all I wanted to say is that while I don't deny that there is some science behind the batteries, you should keep them between 20 and 80%. As a real world experiment on the Wolf Warrior I never noticed any speed decrease or range decrease in the 2.5 years I owned it. So just fun fact. I don't know if it did have an LG battery pack, and I know those are very high quality cells, so it might not hold true to some of the cheaper Chinese cell scooters.
Yeah, because that's a Korean model, right? The LG and Samsung are both Korean, and
right.
I don't know
and
about
they're really
the
high
Chinese.
quality cells.
Yeah.
I've actually, one of the things I've been focusing on a lot lately is cells, battery cells and packs, and how to build your own packs and BMSs and all that. And something I came across in the last few days is that the type of cell and the quality of cell and the capacity and the materials it's made of make a huge difference. When you think about when people say, oh, I got the Chinese cells, or I got the LG cells, it's a few $100s difference and you really don't think that much of it, but it's a really big difference in the capacity, like how far you can go on one charge over hills. Higher quality cells will hold a charge better when you're in more stressful environments, like up hills or really fast speed. So some scooters, even though they have a lower watt hour pack, will actually have a farther range just because they have a higher quality cells. So it's something I came across recently.
That's good information. It's great having somebody like you around, because all these parts are made in different factories and put together. Some of them aren't meant to be together, but they make them work together. And I mean, it's all kind of coalescing now. It's good what Apollo is doing, where they are driving the engineering. It's unfortunate if it, doesn't turn out the way they wanted to, but the intent is noble and it's headed in the right direction and it's the right way to go. But you can talk to one person about tires. You can talk to one person maybe about batteries. You can talk to a lot of people about riding experiences and what they prefer and suspension and all that kind of stuff. But you really do a little bit of everything. And I trust what you have to say. When I'm watching your channel and listening to you here on the podcast, I am pretty much assured that what you're saying is real. And I think that's awesome. I hope that people listening to this podcast who maybe haven't turned into your channel, that might be unlikely. Probably, I would guess. I've mentioned you enough times. And plus, if you're listening to the Electric Scooter podcast, you probably are hip to the Electric Scooter Guide. You're probably hip to Ginger on Wheels and some of the other folks out there that I tout. But it'd be interesting. I hope that this podcast tunes some more people into you. scooter heads that are listening to this electric scooter podcast, do yourself a favor. Go ahead, watch Ginger on Wheels YouTube channel. Go to his webpage. If it's going to be the same price or whatever, buy it through his webpage. You have that kind of setup, right? Where if somebody buy it, you get like a little percentage?
Yeah, if you go to gingeronwheels.com, I actually have a discounts and database, discount codes and whatever you want to call it, database set up for every vendor. I've got a little code you can use to get some money off your scooter, and it throws a little kickback to me too. So that's how I support the channel and keep doing what I do.
Do you have the gloves and helmet on there? Because those are the two things that I'm interested in.
Well, that again would be back to the link tree. If you
Okay.
go to linktr.ee/gingeronwheels, you can click on the Amazon store and it'll bring you to a whole store with all my gear that I use to ride and all the camera gear and everything.
So that's stuff that's tried and true, proven. You've used it. It works. You like it. It's probably going to be
yes.
good. It's better than just going out there and just picking something and hope it works.
Absolutely. For everything on the Ginger on Wheels store, you can rest assured there have been 5 or 6 things that were identical or similar that I hated and returned, and I chose the one that's on my store for a reason. It's not just there because it's the only one I bought. It's like the 888 wrist guards are amazing. The Valiant LS2 helmet, it might look kind of dorky to some people, but if you're in a colder weather environment, having the modular helmet with the drop down sun visor and the air hole vents, and it's really lightweight, super comfortable. Like, yeah, everything on that store is just a go-to, in my opinion.
Scooterheads have to think about safety. Don't want to get creamed by an F-150.
Yeah,
I use
modular helmets are cool. When you pull up to a traffic light, then you can actually talk to the folks you're scooting with, right? You can flip that
Yeah,
thing up.
and not only that, but you can reach real quick in your backpack, flip up the jaw piece, and chug some water and go on your way. You don't have to like take your gloves and helmet off to take a water break.
Well, I'll tell you, Ryan, it's been really an honor for me to talk to you. I thank you again. I hope we can do it again. Maybe we'll do, if you're willing to, I'd like to do some specific segments. Like one time I want to do a podcast that's all about tires. Maybe another one I'll do all about, the electricity, the things that people don't understand about their scooters.
All about batteries would be a good one.
Yeah, batteries or accessories in general. Tires is something that always comes up because when it comes to scooters, it's really a point of failure, and it's something that can make or break a scooter. I'll bring this up as a sidebar really, really quick. I don't know if this will make it to the podcast or not, but on my electric bike, I have what's it called? A Joule, Joulvard or something like that. It's made in New York City. But
What is it? Was it a lock?
it's almost like a fanoodle, like the things that float in a swimming pool. I was able to take it to a bike shop, and they put that foam inside in place of the inner tube, so it never gets a flat tire.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's true.
No, that's brilliant.
When is that going to hit the scooter world? Not
Right?
It's not honeycomb, and you still inflate it with air. But I assume, I've never had a puncture on it yet, but when a nail or something goes through it, the air goes out, but your tire's still spinning. It's probably a little more difficult to get home, but you still get home because it's a solid foam. You've seen those things that float in swimming pools, right?
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea.
It looks just like that on the inside. Yeah.
I can't believe that we haven't thought of that sooner. Like, we actually came out with puncture-proof tires before that and solid tires before that. That seems like an obvious... maybe it's one of those things that now that you said it, it's like, oh, duh.
Yeah. People need to listen to this podcast.
Like
billionaires that got extra money that they want to throw around and make more money, they need to listen to this podcast.
They really do. Dagwood, you're not lying.
All right, my brother. Well, it's great talking to you. Let's do it again. Hopefully again sometime real soon.
I would love to. It's been great chatting with you. Thanks for having me on.
You take care. I hope you like the little song intro that I did. You'll hear it at the beginning of the
Yeah, I'm
podcast.
really looking forward to hear that. I can't wait.
All right, brother. Take care.
You too.
Aloha. I watched a video of a Seattle ride, and everybody was preparing to take off, and Ryan, Ginger on Wheels, showed up, and spontaneously everybody stood up and clapped. Come on, what is that? That's star power. That's a scooter star. I think that says it all. Ryan, aka Ginger on Wheels.